Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi, my student of primary 6. How are you today? I hope all of you are fine and good. Hi everyone, welcome back to math class with Miss Norma. We are going to learn chapter 1 about negative numbers. In the lesson 1, we will learn about understanding negative numbers.
And we are gonna learn about understanding negative numbers. To learn what negative numbers are, we first need to start with whole numbers. You remember what whole numbers are, right? They are the set of numbers on the number line starting with 0 and then counting up one at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to infinity. That's a lot of numbers, but it's only half the story. And that's because the number line really goes in a both direction. You are used to seeing the number line starting at 0 and just going to the right. But the number line also goes to the left. And what number are on that part of the number line? Yep, you guess it, negative numbers. Positive numbers are numbers greater than 0. So negative numbers are numbers smaller than 0. And 0 is the special number that separates the positive numbers from the negative numbers. Negative numbers are just like a mirror image of the positive numbers, because positive numbers starting with 1, so negative numbers starting with negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, all the way to negative infinity. As you can see, the negative numbers look just like the positive numbers. The only difference is that they have a negative sign in front of them. The negative sign just looks like a minus sign. In fact, if we wanted to, we could write a positive sign, a plus, in front of all the positive numbers. But to save time, we just assume that if a number doesn't have any sign in front of it, then it's a positive. By the way, when you combine all these numbers, positive numbers, the number 0, and negative numbers, that entire set of numbers get a special name in math. They are called the integers. We already know negative numbers are numbers smaller than 0. At first, it can be hard to see how there could be numbers that are less than 0. But temperature is a great example that will help you understand. We use 0 degrees Celsius to describe the temperature for water to freeze, but it can be warmer or cooler than that. The temperature could be negative, like negative 20 degrees. So, negative numbers are very useful in the real world to help describe things that can be above or below 0. Okay, now that you know what negative numbers are and how negative numbers work, we need to learn how to compare them to other integers. Remember that in math, comparing just means saying which of the two numbers is a bigger or smaller than the others, or saying that they are equal. And to do that, we use the greater than, less than, or equal signs. You are probably already pretty good at comparing positive integers, like if I ask which is a bigger, 2 or 3. You know that 3 is a bigger than 2. But what if I ask you to compare two negative integers? Which is a bigger, negative 2 or negative 3? This is where negative numbers can be a little tricky. That's because you are so used to 3 being bigger than 2 that when you see negative 2 and negative 3, It's really tempting to think that negative 3 must be bigger than negative 2. But it's not. Negative 3 is actually smaller or less than negative 2. And to help you understand why, let's look at our number line. Have you noticed that if you start at 0 on the number line and then you move to the right, the numbers keep getting bigger and bigger as you go along. 1 is greater than 0, 2 is greater than 1, 3 greater than 2, and so on. But what if we go in the opposite direction instead, to the left? As we go to the left, the numbers get smaller and smaller. 2 is less than 3, 1 is less than 2, and 0 is less than 1. Well, the same exact rule applies to negative side of the number line also. The numbers get bigger as you go to the right, and they get smaller as you go to the left. So, since negative 3 is on the left side of negative 2, it's actually smaller than negative 2. I like to think of it like this. On the opposite side of the number line, 3 is more positive than 2, so it's bigger. But on the negative side of the number line, negative 3 is more negative than negative 2, so it's smaller. And you can use that idea no matter what the numbers are. On the positive side, 300 is more positive than 100, so it's bigger. But on the negative side, negative 400 is more negative than negative 200, so it's smaller. Okay, got it? So, which is smaller, negative 1 or negative 4? Yes, negative 4 is more negative than negative 1, so negative 4 smaller than negative 1. Which is greater, negative 5 or negative 3? Yes, negative 5 is more negative than negative 3. So, negative 3 greater than negative 5. How about compare one positive and one negative integers, like negative 5 and 3, or 5 and negative 10, or negative 40 and 1. It's really easy to compare a positive integer and a negative integer because a positive number is always bigger than a negative number. So, negative 5 is less than 3, 5 is greater than negative 10, and negative 40 is less than 1.
Okay, student, are you got it in lesson 1? So, now you are understanding negative number, right? So, let's continue to lesson 2 and 3. We will learn about addition, subtraction involving negative numbers.
With all of the rules and scenarios, remembering how to add and subtract negative numbers can be difficult. Here's a little trick to help you remember. Let's say we want to solve 3 plus negative 7. First, imagine a number line with a bird sitting on our first number, 3. The operation, plus or minus, tells you which end of the number line to look at. Since we're adding, our little bird will look right, towards the positive end. Our second number tells us how far to move and which direction to move. We'll move forward if it's positive and backwards if it's negative. Since our second number is a negative 7, our little bird is going to move backwards 7 spaces. Since he landed at negative 4, that's our answer. 3 plus negative 7 equals negative 4. Let's try another one. What about negative 2 minus negative 4? Our first number is negative 2, so that's where we'll start. Our operation is a minus, so our bird will look left, towards the negative end. Our second number is a negative 4. Therefore, our bird will move backwards 4 spaces. Our bird landed at positive 2, and that's our answer. Negative 2 minus negative 4 equals 2. Let's recap. The first number is where you start. The operation tells you where to look: plus, right, or minus, left. The second number tells you how far to move and in which direction: positive, forward, or negative, backwards. Where you land is your answer. That's it. You now know a trick for adding and subtracting negative numbers.
Okay, student. After watch the video, you will be more understand about understanding negative number, addition involving negative numbers, and subtraction involving negative number in lesson 1 to 3. Now, let's try to open your textbook and then try to answer some question in there.